Discover the incredible transformation of a lonely receptionist when love is revealed by a CEO. Mary felt like a ghost in the bustling lobby of a shining skyscraper. The polished executives darted past her. Their crisp suits and confident smiles starkly contrasted with her faded cardigan and weary eyes. At 28, she was stuck keeping the desk warm, fielding calls, and adjusting her life around supporting her mother, a war veteran grappling with ghosts that bloomed from battlefields. Each beep of the phone sent a shudder down her spine. It was a reminder of her daily routine, one that left her longing for something more. Hope felt like an elusive stranger in her heart. On an ordinary Tuesday, however, the universe had other plans. Jack, the company's enigmatic CEO, known for his brilliance and guarded demeanor, took an unexpected detour toward her desk. It wasn't like him to notice. He always seemed lost in the world of quarterly projections and high-stakes meetings. But this day, he paused, his sharp blue eyes softening as he acknowledged her presence. "Hey, you're Mary, right?" His voice was warm, cutting through the usual office chatter like a ripple across a still pond. Mary blinked, stunned. Yes," she stammered, barely able to process his attention. Jack smiled, a rare sight. "I've seen how hard you work. I appreciate it." Those words melted the invisible weight she carried. Her heart fluttered for the first time in years. Slowly, a friendship began to form between them, pieced together with laughter and shared moments, turning her lonely days into something vibrant. But their budding relationship was fragile, facing the storm of judgment from Jack's elite circle. Whispers hung like dense fog, hinting at how inappropriate it was for him to mingle with someone beneath him in the corporate hierarchy. "Can you believe he's spending time with a receptionist?" she overheard one day, the voices dripping with disdain. The stabs of their words pierced Mary's gut. She felt every accusation, battling insecurities that threatened to crush her hope. Could she truly belong to his world? As tensions flared, the impending corporate merger cast a shadow over her life, a threat to both her job and the fragile bond she cherished with Jack. Despair nested in her heart, as heavy as a winter coat. In a quiet moment, she laid her fears before him, her voice shaky. "What if I lose everything? My mom, this job, it all feels so fragile." Jack's gaze deepened, the weight of her burdens mirroring his own. "You're stronger than you realize. I see you." The warmth of his confidence worked like sunlight piercing through clouds. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." However, doubts lurked like weeds ready to choke the blooms of their connection. Just as Mary gathered her courage to embrace this fragile but profound love, an announcement echoed through the office, a decision that could uproot everything they built. As she faced the storm ahead, raw emotions churned within her, waiting to be unleashed. Would she risk it all for a shot at love? Or had fear already dictated her path, leaving her standing at the edge of uncertainty? Mary's heart raced as she watched the staff assemble in the large conference room. The air was thick with anticipation, whispers buzzing like bees around her. She felt like an outsider peering into a world that wasn't meant for her. All the while Jack's words echoed in her mind. "You're stronger than you realize." Could she really be strong enough to face whatever storm was about to hit? The meeting began, and the CEO's calm, commanding presence filled the space. Jack spoke with a confidence that made Mary swell with pride and a twinge of fear. He addressed the merger, detailing plans to streamline operations that would, inevitably, include cuts. Each word was like a hammer, echoing in her skull. The phrase "job eliminations" looped endlessly, a reminder that her position was hanging by a thread. After the meeting, tension clung to the office like a thick fog. Colleagues rushed past, their faces tight with anxiety. Mary felt as though the walls were closing in. She was lost in thought when a voice broke through her daze. Mary, can you come in here for a minute? Jack's voice was steady but urgent. Her stomach dropped. She stepped into his office, heart pounding as she closed the door behind her. I wanted to check on you. His gaze was firm but kind, the weight of the impending news looming. I know this merger is scary? Mary interrupted, frustration bubbling to the surface. It's terrifying. For all of us. I have so much to lose. My mom, she needs me. What if Jack crossed the room, standing close enough for her to feel the reassurance of his presence. You're not alone, Mary. Whatever happens, I'm here for you. I don't want to lose you. The sincerity in his eyes pulled her closer, and she let out a shaky breath. The moment hung between them, electric and vulnerable. For once, she saw a flicker of doubt cross Jack's usually unwavering facade. I know the world sees us differently, but I care about you, more than you understand. His voice softened, but the weight of the situation was almost too much to bear. Mary's heart raced. As she grappled with the sweet surrender of his words, a loud knock on the door shattered the intimacy. Jack? We need to talk about the next steps. It was Claire, the VP who had made her disdain for Mary clear. Mary pulled away, torn between her longing for Jack and the reality of their differences. You should take that, she said quickly, stepping back. We'll talk later. I need to think. Mary, wait. He reached for her, but she slipped outside, the door closing against the warmth of his presence. The office felt colder now. Once back at her desk, she fought back tears. Questions whirled in her mind. Did she have the strength to step into a new reality with Jack? What would it mean for her if the merger ended her job? With determination brewing amidst the despair, she pulled out her phone and found herself typing a message to Jack. Can we meet tonight? She hit send, holding her breath as night descended. Uncertainty danced through her veins. Would this be the breaking point or a new beginning? The city lights shone through her window as she prepared for whatever lay ahead. Just as she locked her phone, a notification pinged a new message from Jack. Absolutely. We need to talk. I have something important to share. Her pulse quickened. What could it be? Was this the moment everything changed? Did he feel the weight of the world shifting beneath them? Too? She drew in a deep breath, her heart racing as hope sparkled in her chest. Mary stood on the precipice of something monumental, her resolve hardening. What could Jack possibly reveal that would seal their fate? The evening air outside felt crisp against Mary's skin as she made her way to the cafe where she had arranged to meet Jack. Each step was laced with uncertainty. What did he mean by having something important to share? Was it professional? Or could it be something personal, perhaps even life-changing? The cafe was warm and inviting, the rich aroma of coffee wrapping around her like a cozy blanket. She spotted Jack seated at a corner table, his posture a mix of relaxation and tension. As she approached, she could see the seriousness etched on his face, a stark contrast to the familiarity that had sparked between them just hours ago. Hey, you made it, he said, his voice softening as he gestured for her to sit down. The moment her gaze met his, a flutter of hope ignited in her chest. I was worried you wouldn't come. I almost didn't, she confessed, shifting in her seat. The hum of cafe chatter and the clinking of coffee cups faded into a distant background as the world narrowed to just the two of them. I needed to think. And? He asked, leaning forward, his expression earnest. What did you decide? Honestly, I'm scared. The word slipped out before she could second-guess it. The merger, my job. I feel like everything is spiraling out of control. And then there's us. I don't even know where we stand. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, the weight of the moment palpable as he exhaled like he was releasing ghosts from his past. I get it. I worry too. His gaze softened, and for a moment, it was just the two of them, vulnerable and exposed. But I want you to know something, Mary. This, he gestured between them, this connection we have, it's real, and it's worth fighting for. Her heart swelled, battling with doubt. What if it all crashes down? What if this merger takes everything from me? What if I lose my job and you? The last part hung in the air, laden with fear and longing. Jack leaned back, eyes steady. I can't force the company's hand, but I can promise you something. I won't let you face this alone. No matter what happens, I'm here, and I will fight for you. I will make sure your voice is heard." His words washed over her, buoying her spirit just as they threatened to drown her in doubt. She sensed a swell of courage pushing through her hesitations. What if this was a defining moment? What if leaning into this connection was the answer she so desperately sought? "Jack, if we're going to navigate this, it has to be transparent. We can't hide what we feel," Mary said, feeling empowered by her own honesty. He nodded, a slight smile breaking through the tension. "Agreed. Let us face this merger together. Let us be honest, not just with each other, but with everyone around us." As they talked, the weight of their conversation began to shift from peril to possibility. Her fears morphed slowly into excitement, and for the first time, she believed in a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. Just as she opened her mouth to voice her next thought, Jack's phone buzzed. He frowned as he glanced at the screen, a shadow flickering across his features. "I need to take this," he stood, his tone serious, and walked out, leaving Mary in a swirling mix of emotions. Alone, she stared at the empty chair across from her. Had they just taken a step toward something monumental, or was the universe about to intervene in a way she wasn't prepared for? As Jack re-entered the cafe, his face was tight, and the look in his eyes sent her heart racing again. "Mary," he said, urgency laced in his voice, "we need to talk. Something just came up." Her heart sank as her thoughts spiraled. What could be waiting around the next corner? Jack moved into her line of sight, the atmosphere around him electric and charged. Mary felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What could possibly be so urgent that it pulled him away, then left him looking so intense upon his return? He dropped back into his chair, hands braced on the table, his eyes scanning her face as if searching for answers. "Is everything okay?" Mary asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She was keenly aware of the vague unease settling over her, threatening to eclipse the warmth they had just shared. "Not exactly," he said, running a hand across his face. The moment felt like a greeting from a storm as the cafe buzzed around them. "The company is going through a serious shift. I just got off the line with my boss." "What kind of shift?" The words tumbled from her lips, dread accumulating in her chest. "They're upping the stakes on the merger. It's not just about our company anymore. It's affecting several others in the field. Changes are coming, and fast." He leaned back, the weight of his next words nearly crushing. "They're considering cuts, layoffs might be on the table." Her breath hitched. The specter of job loss loomed large above her, squeezing her lungs. "You mean I could?" "Yes," he interrupted softly. "It's a possibility." "And he hesitated, the words hanging like heavy stones. "I need to navigate this carefully. My position is precarious too." Mary's heart raced in a way that felt frantic, wild. "So what does this mean for us?" "Honestly," his honesty cut deeper than she anticipated. "I can't say for sure. I want to fight for you, but the reality is, I might have to make tough calls to protect myself." The walls around them felt like they were closing in, the warm air suddenly stifling. Was their bond strong enough to withstand this? "What do we do now?" she asked, her throat dry. She needed answers, a lifeline, some kind of a roadmap through the tangled mess that was her life. Jack exhaled slowly, as if trying to shape his thoughts on the table between them. "We stick to our promise. We'll support each other, come what may. But we have to be realistic. This could change everything." Her chest tightened painfully. Everything was spiraling into uncertainty. Would the trust they had built be enough to weather this storm? "Maybe we shouldn't." Mary drew a breath, every word feeling like a careful step on fragile ice. "We shouldn't try to be more than coworkers right now. Feels too risky." "I can't accept that," he replied, though his voice was almost a plea now. "What we have, it matters to me. We can redefine boundaries, but I don't want to give up on this, on us." Tears pricked at her eyes. She fought to stay composed. "But what if it just leads to more heartbreak?" Jack's gaze softened, and the world outside the cafe blurred into the background. "Sometimes, Mary, you have to embrace the risk to find what's truly worth it." She grasped his words tightly, even as fear gnawed at her. What was worth fighting for in a battle that felt insurmountable? A moment stretched, a pulse of emotion passing between them. Before the soft chime of the doorbell buzzed over the cafe noise, a suited man stepped inside, scanning the crowd, and Mary felt an inexplicable chill race down her spine. Jack noticed the newcomer too, and the shift in his demeanor was instantaneous. "That's Greg, my boss," Jack hissed. "If he's here, it's serious." Mary's body tensed as she exchanged a quick glance with Jack. What unexpected decisions lay ahead? Time felt suspended as Greg approached their table, a concerned frown on his face. "Jack, can we talk? Privately?" Jack's eyes darted to Mary, uncertainty written all over his features. As he stood up slowly, the weight of everything hung heavily in the air. What would it mean if Jack had to choose sides in this looming crisis? "Hang tight," he said, an assurance that felt hollow, and then he followed Greg outside, leaving Mary alone with her spiraling thoughts. She wanted answers, clarity, something to hold on to. But as she sat there, the cafe buzzing around her, the enormity of their situation crushed down on her. Would love be enough to hold them together through this storm? Or would it be the very thing that pulled them apart? The door swung shut behind Jack, and uncertainty seeped into every crevice of her heart. What kind of news could possibly change everything yet again? The minutes ticked by slowly, each second stretching into an eternity. Mary stared at the door, her heart racing. She tried to concentrate on the chatter around her, the clink of coffee cups, the laughter of distant patrons, but the world felt muted, overshadowed by the heavy uncertainty hanging over her. What news did Greg have for Jack? Her mind raced with possibilities, some darker than others. The thought of losing her job sent a fresh wave of panic coursing through her. The weight of it all threatened to drag her down. Was it too late to turn back? She couldn't shake the sense that this was just the beginning. The reality of Jack's precarious situation loomed like a dark cloud, and it felt wrong to hold on to any hope when circumstances were so dire. As the barista called out orders and the coffee steam danced in the air, her thoughts shifted from the future to the present. Little moments that brought joy and laughter crept back into her mind, the way Jack's eyes sparkled when he joked around, the warmth of his presence that seemed to dissolve all her worries. Was that worth preserving, even in chaos? Before she could decide, the door finally swung open, and there stood Jack. He looked different, more composed, but with shadows tracing his features. The way he walked towards her carried a heaviness. "Hey," he said, settling into the seat across from her. He ran a shaky hand through his hair, his expression a mixture of relief and something darker. "I didn't get the news I was hoping for." Her heart dropped. The words hung between them like an anchor tethering her to dread. "What happened?" "Greg thinks waiting it out won't be enough. There may be a restructuring soon." His eyes searched her face, a mix of determination and anguish reflecting back. "He wants me to come up with a plan today." Mary felt the air leave her lungs. "But what does that mean for you, for us?" Jack sighed, his shoulders drooping with the weight of uncertainty. "It means I have to make decisions that may affect our relationship. I can't guarantee that I'll be safe through this. I need to think of the bigger picture. Will you have to choose between your job and us?" The words felt like stones lodged in her throat. "I don't want to think that way," he replied, his voice barely a whisper. "But the reality is, if I want to keep my position, I might have to distance myself from personal connections. I need to be realistic about what's coming." A chill swept over her, more profound than before. "So we're back to square one, then?" Rhetorical questions escaped her, laced with frustration. What kind of life can we build if every moment is shadowed by what could happen next? Jack leaned in closer, earnestness igniting his expression. "I don't want to give up on us. I want to believe that we're strong enough to get through this together. Can we?" she asked, tears threatening to spill. "What if this is it? What if it changes everything?" He glanced around, then back at her, lowering his voice. "Love is messy, Mary. I believe what we have is worth the fight." As the chaos swirled around them, a new sense of resolve washed over Mary. She knew she needed to make a choice: accept the uncertainty with him or shield herself from the potential heartbreak. "Then let us fight," she said quietly but firmly, her heart pounding. But I need you to promise me something. Whatever happens, we're honest with each other. No half-truths, no hiding away. I promise, he whispered, the sincerity wrapped around them like a blanket, pulling her closer. As their hands intertwined across the table, a flicker of hope ignited in her chest. Felt fragile, yet undeniable. They were stepping into the unknown together. But in the back of her mind, a question loomed larger than ever. Would their love be enough to hold them steady, no matter the storm raging ahead? Just then, Jack's phone buzzed on the table, interrupting their moment. He glanced at the screen, tension tightening his jaw. Is my team, I should take this. She nodded, but a pang of apprehension struck her again. What would that call mean for their future? As Jack stepped away to take the call, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of something monumental. Would this be the moment that either bonded them tighter or frayed the threads of their relationship forever? Mary's heart thudded in her chest as she watched Jack step away, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. She tried to focus on the coffee cup cradled in her hands, its warmth a stark contrast to the freeze settling over her thoughts. Each buzz from Jack's phone felt like a wave crashing, drawing her deeper into a sea of what-ifs. With a weary sigh, she scanned the cafe. Familiar faces blurring into a backdrop of anxiety. Were they all absorbed in their own lives? Or did they sense her turmoil? She could almost hear whispers of their conversations, laced with laughter and easy banter. And yet, here she was, entangled in a storm of uncertainty. That a few minutes passed, and each tick of the clock seemed louder than the last. What could Jack be saying? Was he discussing plans to remove himself from the roles that had been so central to their lives? Could he really go through with that? The question spun around in her mind like a restless wind. Then, Jack returned to the table, his expression more intense than before. He sat down, his brows furrowed, and for a moment, Mary felt like they were back in that moment before the door had opened. The world shrank down to just the two of them. Mary, he started, his voice steadying her nerves even as it trembled with urgency. Things are moving faster than I thought. I need to meet with the higher-ups this afternoon. What does that mean? She asked, leaning closer, her heart racing again. It means I'll have a chance to present some of my ideas for how we can navigate this. My thoughts, strategies. It could buy us time. But I also need to show them I can handle tough choices. Is that why you seem distant? Her throat tightened as she watched him carefully. Because you're thinking about every outcome, every risk? He ran a hand through his hair again, a familiar gesture indicating his stress. Yeah. I don't want to jeopardize what we have, but I need them to see I'm all in for the company. The problem is how much I want to be all in for you too. Mary's chest tightened again. Feels like you might have to choose, Jack. And that's terrifying. I don't want it to be that way. I need you to know that. His voice was strong, sharpened by frustration. But this challenge, it's gonna push and pull at me in ways I never wanted. I know, she whispered, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. But I can't help but feel that if they see you as just an employee now, they might never see the real you. Jack nodded, but a storm brewed in his eyes. It's frustrating. I can't stand feeling torn between two worlds. I want to fight for our relationship, but I can't ignore the fact that my career might not allow for that. What if it does come to that? Mary dared to ask. What if you choose to distance yourself? Can we survive it? He paused, his gaze piercing. I believe we can, but we need to be ready to fight for it. This is a test not just for me, but for us. The words hung in the air, heavy yet electrifying. It was a chance to confront their fears, to address the very essence of what they had built. She could feel the steel forming in her spine as she remembered how far they had come. Then let us promise to face it together, she replied, the desperation blending with determination. Let us go in with everything we have. Jack's eyes softened, and he reached for her hand again, intertwining their fingers. Together, then. But just as a moment of solidarity began to take shape, the cafe door swung open again with a jingle, and an unfamiliar figure stepped in, commanding instant attention. It was Greg, looking more serious than Mary had ever seen him. "What he doing here?" she whispered, anxiety creeping back. Jack turned to look, a question lighting up his face. Greg's presence here felt like a startling shift. And with that, the true stakes of their decision loomed larger than both of them. Would this unexpected visitor lend clarity or confusion to the chaos they were already navigating? Mary held her breath as Greg strode across the cafe, his expression serious. He moved with purpose, cutting through the chatter around them. All her fears came rushing back in a wave of uncertainty. What could he possibly want right now? She exchanged a furtive glance with Jack. His grip on her hand tightened, grounding her. "Hey, can we talk?" Greg said when he reached their table, his eyes darting between Jack and Mary. It was a tone that brooked no argument. "Is this about work?" Jack asked, clearly reluctant to let his private moment with Mary slip away. "Sort of," Greg said, his voice dropping as he leaned in closer. "But it's also about what's happening here. With you two." Mary swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" Greg's gaze softened for a fraction of a second before hardening again. "Look, I don't want to intrude, but Jack, you've been different lately. I can see it's affecting your work. And Mary, I can tell you're related to that shift. This isn't just a professional meeting today for you, is it?" Jack ran a hand through his hair again, looking torn. "I need to focus on my career right now. But something tells me you need to focus on more than just your career." Greg interrupted, his voice firm but not unkind. "You're at a crossroads. Both of you are. And we need to make sure you're ready for what's coming. Those decisions, they hold weight." Mary's heart hammered in her chest. "What do you mean? Are you implying there's something more we need to worry about?" Greg met her eyes directly. "Yes. The higher management isn't just looking for strategies today. They're looking at the bigger picture, too, who will stay loyal and who will stand out. They want a leader who understands the company and their personal commitment, not to mention how that plays into the company culture." Jack's face fell, a flicker of panic crossing his features. "And you're saying they scrutinize my personal life?" "Somewhat," Greg replied, his tone cautious. "You know how these things work. They wonder if you're distracted or if you have other priorities. They may not separate the personal from the professional." Mary's hands felt clammy around her coffee mug. "So it's as bad as I feared. If they think you're not focused, Jack, they might question my position." He finished for her, understanding dawning like a dark cloud. "And that could mean—" "Exactly," Greg interrupted again, stepping back a little, giving them both space to breathe. "This could change everything." Silence enveloped the table, thick and suffocating. Mary could feel the weight of Jack's realization. Would he step back to prioritize his work, or could he hold on to what mattered? "Look, this is business," Greg said, his voice softening again. "But there's also something here worth fighting for, Jack. I see it with you too. Just make sure whichever path you choose is the one you truly want." "Thanks, Greg," Jack managed to say, his voice tight. Greg nodded and turned to leave but paused. "And remember, people are watching. The real question is, what are you willing to show them?" As he walked away, a fog descended over Mary's heart. Jack could sense it too. The cafe was still buzzing around them, yet the void between them felt more significant than before. Jack turned to Mary, vulnerability filling his eyes. "I didn't realize, Mary. I thought I could navigate this without it affecting us." Tears threatened to spill from her eyes. "What if I can't stand by and watch you fracture under this pressure? What if you choose work over us?" He searched her gaze, anguish etching lines into his brow. "I don't want to. I need you to believe that. Show me," she whispered, the air around them pregnant with tension. As Jack opened his mouth to speak, the phone buzzed violently on their table, startling them both. The screen blinked a message that made his face drain of color. "It's from the office." His voice trailed off, and for the first time the stakes felt too high. "What does it say?" The weight of uncertain choices pressed down on them like a heavy shroud. Whatever was on that phone could unravel everything. "Are we prepared for whatever this might bring?" Jack asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mary took a deep breath, wondering if they both were ready for the storm yet to come as she glanced at the phone screen. What awaited them on the other side of this moment could either bind them closer or tear them apart. Mary's heart raced as Jack's gaze fixated on the phone. The words glowed back at him, but to Mary, they felt like an impending storm. She wanted to reach out and take the device away, to snatch it from fate itself. But she couldn't move. Fear rooted her in place. "What does it say?" she repeated, urgency threading through her voice. Jack's eyes darted over the screen, brows knitting together in confusion and dread. It says there's an emergency meeting scheduled. They want to discuss project reevaluations and potential layoffs. The words hit Mary like a punch. Are you serious? They're already talking about layoffs? It's just been a few months. I know, Jack said, his voice a shaky whisper. I didn't think it could escalate this quickly. Seeing the tension in his jaw, Mary felt a surge of protectiveness. Jack, we can find another way. There has to be a way to deal with this without losing everything. You don't have to choose between us. I can support you with whatever decisions you need to make. He looked down at their hands, fingers intertwined like the lifelines of their relationship. Yet now they felt so fragile. But what if they don't give me that option? I can't afford to lose my job. Not now. His voice faltered, and despair settled between them. How could they bridge this chasm of uncertainty? How could she prove to him that her heart was just as much a part of this as his career? Jack, she said softly, this isn't just about work for me, you know that I know, he interrupted, his tone sharper. But I don't want to burden you. I don't want you to think you're the reason I might lose everything. The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. Mary felt the weight of his internal battle. How was she supposed to convince him when he didn't see his own value? Suddenly, she drew closer, urgency taking over. It's not a burden to care about you, she said, her voice almost fierce. You're not alone in this, and you should never have to feel that you are. A flicker of hope sparked in Jack's eyes. But then real fear washed over them again, mingling with guilt. What if I don't make it through this, Mary? What about us then? What if they choose someone else? Then we figure it out together. We always do, she pleaded, her voice barely a whisper. Love isn't conditional on job titles, and your worth is so much more than where you work. Jack ran a hand over his face, the weight of uncertainty pressing down hard on him. He didn't know what the meeting would hold, but with Mary standing there, unwavering, he began to believe they might find their way. His resolve slipped in like the first light of dawn. I want to try, Mary. I want to figure all this out with you. The depth of his sincerity confirmed to her that they could weather this storm together. The phone buzzed again, jerking them back into the moment. Jack's expression tensed as he glanced at the screen, and Mary leaned closer, almost holding her breath. It's Greg again, he said, a mix of surprise and dread on his face. Open it, she said, anxiety tightening her throat. He hesitated before tapping the notification. As the screen charged with a new message, the cafe buzzed around them almost mockingly, juxtaposed against the deep silence enveloping their small world. Jack? What does it say? She urged, anxiety threatening to spill over. His face turned pale. It says they want us to prepare a presentation. We're to address their concerns regarding my performance. And it's due by the end of the day. Mary's heart sank further. Could they really face this? Do you think you can do it? Jack stared into her eyes, determination flickering amidst the fear. I don't know, but I want to try. Together. Just then, the door swung open, and a chill swept through. A reminder that outside this little bubble, chaos awaited. Then let us tackle this head-on, she whispered, her fingers squeezing his tighter. Whatever comes next, we do it together. But even as they clung to hope, dread twisted deep inside. What new challenges would this meeting bring? As they steeled themselves for the uncertain road ahead, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something transformative. Would their love withstand the test? The tone of the cafe around them echoed her unspoken worry, and she knew whatever was coming next, the truth, the choices, everything would either make or break them. Jack's gaze fell back onto the phone, his fingers trembling as he considered the mountain of pressure before them. Mary sat opposite him, the weight of the moment pressing through the cafe's usual bustle. Uncertainty hung thick in the air, each passing second feeling like a ticking clock, reminding them of the limited time they had. Okay, let's brainstorm, Mary suggested, determination flooding her voice. What points do you think they'll want to hear? What can we say to turn this around? Jack leaned back, swallowing hard. It's not that simple. They must have made up their minds already. I should have seen this coming. My last project. His words trailed off, leaving an echo of regret in their wake. Mary reached across the table, placing her hand over his. You're so much more than that project. You've accomplished so much since you started. She wasn't just trying to lift his spirits. She believed it with every fiber of her being. He looked at her, eyes clouded with doubt. But what if it's not enough? What if they need someone else? Mary could feel the knot tightening in her own chest. But Jack, think of everything you've done. All the late nights. The heart you put into your work. You've got to remember that. He shook his head, a hint of despair creeping back in. I used to believe that. After this, I don't know. Her heart ached to see him like this. It felt like the world was narrowing, squeezing him into a tiny space that didn't reflect who he was. You've faced challenges before, she said. This is no different. Just tell your story. Show them all that you bring to the table. The hope in her voice sparked something inside him, but the shadows still lurked. What if they don't want to hear my story? What if they just see numbers? Mary leaned forward, lowering her voice. Then make them listen. You have a voice, Jack, one that deserves to be heard. You can't change how they view you if you don't fight for it. She could see the flicker of defiance in his eyes, a taste of the fire she loved so much within him. But just as quickly, it faded, clouded by fear. The cafe felt alive around them, laughter and clinking mugs a stark contrast to the heavy silence that weighed upon the couple. They were in their own world, separate from the bustle, clinging to each other amidst a storm. Mary, Jack said, voice softer, more vulnerable. What if I fail? What if I can't turn this around? She took a breath, feeling the tension in her throat. Then we face it together. No matter what happens in that meeting, we will figure it out side by side. I promise you, nothing can break us if we don't let it. He squeezed her hand tighter, grounding himself in her words. You really believe that? Absolutely. She nodded, a fierce conviction behind her gaze. Love is not just about the beautiful moments. It's about standing by each other through the mess too. The sound of the cafe faded into the background, and they were lost in each other's eyes, the shared weight between them almost palpable. But as the clock ticked closer to their deadline, a new worry unearthed itself in Mary's mind. What if when the meeting came, their love wasn't enough? A sudden jolt brought her back. She glanced over Jack's shoulder, the door swinging open again to reveal a shadowy figure. Greg, Jack's boss. The feeling of dread washed over Mary anew. Jack, it's him. Jack turned, panic flooding his features. What if he's here too? Whatever it is, we can face it together, she whispered, her heart hammering in her chest. But as Greg approached, the abyss of uncertainty loomed heavier than ever. What were they truly going to face in just a few moments? Mary couldn't tell if they were ready, or if the end was also a new beginning. The air in the cafe felt stifling as Greg approached, his brows set in a serious line. Mary held her breath, wishing she could will the ground to open up and swallow any tension that might follow. Jack's hand slipped from hers, and her heart sank deeper into the pit of her stomach. Jack, Greg began, his voice steady yet grave. We need to talk now. It's urgent. Jack nodded, his face pale, the resolve from moments ago now shadowed by dread. He stood up, glancing back at Mary with a mixture of anxiety and determination. I'll be right back, he promised, but the weight in his voice betrayed the uncertainty hanging between them. Mary sat alone, the laughter and chatter of the cafe fading into distant echoes. She could see Jack and Greg speaking quietly, their expressions serious, their gestures animated. Fear clutched at her heart. What decisions were being made behind those closed doors? Minutes dragged on, stretching the space between them. Every tick of the clock felt like a countdown to something monumental. Finally, Jack returned, his face drawn with an intensity she had never seen. He pulled back the chair, sitting down almost mechanically, and she felt her stomach tighten. What did he say? She questioned softly, the anticipation hanging heavily between them. Jack met her gaze, and for a moment, she could see struggle and determination fighting for dominance. They're giving me a chance to prove myself before the final decisions are made. What does that mean for us? Mary asked, the urgency spilling from her lips. Are you okay? I have to lead the meeting in 1 hour. Present solutions to the team and show them the direction we can take to stabilize things. His eyes flickered with a blend of fear and hope. But in the back of my mind, I can't help but think about how this impacts us. Mary leaned closer, their hands once again finding each other. You can do this. Show them who you are, Jack. Don't just present numbers tell your story. Jack nodded, but uncertainty clouded his gaze. What if they don't want to hear it? What if stop? She interrupted, her voice firm. What ifs only create shadows? You know what you bring to the table. Speak from your heart. He swallowed hard, determination stirring deep within. I want to fight for both of us. I really do. The warmth of their shared moment swelled again, hope lighting a spark between them as she squeezed his hand. Then let us walk this journey together. Whatever happens, we will face it together. Jack took a deep breath, visibly steeling himself. You're right. This is about more than just my job. This is about showing them that I'm fully committed. The whirl of thoughts and emotions danced on the edge of clarity. As they exchanged glances, reassurance solidified their connection. It no longer felt like a question of fear but a partnership solidified through struggle. If they see us as a team, they'll know what drives me, he said, a newfound confidence shimmering in his voice. She smiled warmly. Exactly. Your passion is contagious, Jack. It's what makes you stand out. Thanks for believing in me, he said softly, gratitude imbuing his gaze. You mean everything. I believe in us together. But as the clock inched closer to the hour, an anxiety crept back. What if this moment defined everything? I need you to promise me, she said, her voice a whisper. No matter how it turns out, we don't lose what we have. Jack reached for her face, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You have my word. I'll fight for us. The door swung open again, and a rush of fresh air swept into the cafe. In walked Greg, followed by a somber-looking group of executives. The mood shifted, tension palpably filling the room. Jack's eyes widened. This was the moment of truth. It's time. With one last grateful squeeze, Mary nodded, her heart pounding but filled with fierce hope. Jack stood, confidence radiating from him despite the shadows facing him. He moved towards the gathering, determination guiding every step. Mary watched him move. This was his moment to shine, to step into the spotlight and tell the world who he was. As the meeting began, words flew between Jack and the executives. Mary could see a fire igniting in Jack's voice, his passion pouring out with every truth he shared. She closed her eyes for just a moment, envisioning a future filled with possibilities. In that moment, she realized that no matter how this meeting played out, something about their love had already transformed them both. They were no longer the lonely figures they had been. They were warriors for each other, standing steadfast in the face of uncertainty. She knew it was this love that would carry them through. Together, they could rise above the storms, weaving a life that resonated with hope and belonging. No matter what happened next, they had each other, and that was the greatest victory of all. As the meeting carried on and a sense of unity began to envelop the cafe, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the beginning, a chance for a hopeful future filled with love, courage, and resilience. And now, if you're feeling inspired by this story of love conquering the odds, don't wait another moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that tug at the heartstrings. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help share these incredible journeys. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, and let us spread the inspiration together. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this story of transformation, because together, we can make a difference. You need to support the channel, and every action counts. Don't wait not even one more second.